what if we volunteered once a week over the course of a month to create a new home or to do clothing drives, to donate a lot of clothes? Like there are so many more opportunities to create a deeper impact if we're
Mhm.
able to strengthen the connection with nonprofit and companies. I think that would be the long-term vision once we're able to, I guess, get our feet off the ground.
That's super cool. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but it is like it's almost like what you're providing is like dipping your toe into the water, and then there's this opportunity after that to really dig in. And how did you get to this point in your life, your career? Like what led you to start this company?
It was during the pandemic. Me and a few friends not having much to do over the summer. We said, hey, why not build a volunteer website? And that's where I met my co-founder, Alex, who helped us basically build out our directory of different organizations you could volunteer with. And what started out as initial like a side project when we started working with different high schools to help students fulfill their graduation requirements. That's when we
Cool.
started like licensing an actual product and turning it into like from a side project into a company.
Hey, folks, and welcome to another episode of the Small Tech Podcast. I'm your host, Raf, and we've got another wonderful guest today. He is Mateo Jeanneau, the CEO and co founder of Keen to Help, the company that makes it easy to help your community. They connect companies and their employees with volunteering opportunities. One of the ways they do that is with these really neat boxes that companies can order and which create a really cool team building exercise. But even better is that what comes out of that exercise is actually something that is useful and valuable to a nonprofit. I first connected with Mateo's co-founder, Alex, a little while ago around the idea of measuring impact. Eventually, that turned into some conversations about Keen to Help, and I thought it'd be really cool to talk about it on the podcast. I learned a lot from Mateo about launching a company during COVID, transitioning from a side project into a company, and testing product assumptions. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I hope you do too. Hey, Mateo, how's it going?
Doing well. How about yourself? How are you doing today?
Yeah, I am doing all right. So I just want to dive right into it. How about you tell me what is Keen to Help?
Yeah, absolutely. So, keen to help. We make it easy to help your community. So, we've worked with a few different groups, but we narrowed in on companies and helping you plan the ideal corporate event for your employees. So, helping you get engaged with different causes and different activities that you can do together as a team. That's going to enable you to give back to the community and also have a great time doing it, basically.
Awesome. That's super cool. And how did you get to this point in your life, your career? Like what led you to start this company?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it was during the pandemic, and me and a few friends not having much to do over the summer. And we said, hey, why not build a volunteer website? And that's where I met my co founder, Alex, who helped us basically build out our directory of different organizations you could volunteer with. And what started out as initial like a side project when we started working with different high schools to help students fulfill their graduation requirements. That's when we
Cool.
started like licensing an actual product and turning it into like from a side project into a company. And from schools, we've helped basically like over a dozen schools and more than 2,000 students volunteer, and are now trying to take what we learned with the school environment and applying it to different companies across Canada and the US.
Cool. So, do I understand correctly that when you first started to do this, it was just like a kind of like a side project?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was really born out of boredom and like me having an internship and all summer plans lined up and me having everything just go to zero,
Yeah.
like during lockdown, everything getting canceled and being like, oh wow, okay, what am I gonna do with my summer now? Like how can I be productive? And yeah, I'm glad it turned into that and didn't end up with me just like being lazy and not doing anything to me at home, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Um, with that in mind, I'm kind of curious, like what did you like, how do you manage that transition from like, oh, this is just like a side project that I'm doing to, oh, like, let's turn this into a company, let's turn it into a real product.
Yeah, and that's an excellent question. I think number one thing is like delusion, especially at that age of being like, oh, like I can't actually make this huge company that's gonna like connect millions and millions of volunteers and holding on to that vision for dear life. I think over the years now I realized like what it actually takes, and more of the challenge now that I didn't realize at the beginning, which kind of gave me that ignorance to really just say, okay, go, like, I'll go for it. But I think more than that, it's like the support of the people around me, whether it's my family and friends, that like give me the confidence to then know that if I fail, and even if I like put like multiple years now into it and that doesn't work, that I'm not going to be like viewed as a failure, because I know that my friends and my family will still support me no matter what, I guess.
That's yeah, I feel like that's so key, like having a strong support system. So yeah, awesome to hear that you have that. I'm kind of curious though, with that question in mind, like, did you, as you transition from like project to company, and you have this support system and this network, did you also actively go out and like seek, I don't know, like startup communities or other, like, did you build out that network beyond what you had when you got started? And if so, like how, like what places do you go to? Like, how did you make that happen?
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I got really lucky. Well, being like at McGill, they have their Dobson Entrepreneurship Center
Cool.
where we were able to do a pitch competition, and we earned about like $15,000 to really start going from just Friday from a business. So that was a huge help. But what I would recommend, even beyond just like different programs that you may or may not have available to, is the network that you're gonna be building out. Like, there's so many resources that I would have never known without talking to someone who had been through what I had been through, recommending me those exact resources, whether it was government funding to help us get off the ground. It's going to be different for your journey. So just finding people on LinkedIn that have been through, or that you aspire to, that you look up to, that you want to have a career like them, really reaching out and asking, okay, how did you do this? Where did you get the money? How did you set up your sales? All of that is very likely they have all the answers to the questions that you're looking for. So getting out of your comfort zone and doing that research to see who you want to end up like, and then just asking them the right questions, I think the best, is more important than any individual program that you're going to be able to find.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, how does like how does finding a co-founder? So you've got a co-founder, Alex, and how did you meet him? How did you two decide like, yeah, let's do this together? Like, how did that all work?
So it was really off of like a coffee chat,
Yeah.
like a virtual 30-minute meeting where we had been connected through like this other internship I did. And he was like the big tech guy, like the VP engineering at another software company.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had 30 minutes with him, but I asked him, okay, like, let's say hypothetically you were to build a volunteer website, like, how would you do that? Like, what if it is something that I wanted to do? And he said, okay, like, I recommend you do this, this, and this. And then so I went back, and me and my friends that were all students at the time, we kind of like cobbled together a website following exactly what he said. It's like using WordPress, a combination of different plugins without needing to know any software, like writing no code,
Yeah.
and having done exactly what we said. Like 6 months later, I reached back out, and I was super excited to like show him what we had been working on, and he was thrilled. He wanted to be more involved, and that's how ultimately he came on board as co-founder after like multiple calls, but like showing that we took his advice seriously, and that we value his opinion, and that we wanted more of it. I think it like it showed that we were really more interested in having him on board as opposed to just talking about it. So I think that made things a lot easier. And I would highly recommend finding a co-founder. It's gonna be a lot more difficult alone. So I'm so grateful that that had happened.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. You bring up WordPress and WordPress plugins. I'm kind of curious, did you have any experience doing any sort of like building anything tech related? Had you ever used even like those kinds of tools like a WordPress with a plugin or yeah, anything like that before?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Zero at all. Like I had no coding background whatsoever. And so taking on that challenge, I mean, it was very lengthy and a learning process,
Yeah.
but I mean, it wasn't really that hard. I don't think like anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Likely, you just have to get over that hump and be like, okay, I'm going to become a computer engineer. If you don't have any of those skills, maybe not to that level, but that wasn't even needed for what we were doing. So that
Yeah.
kind of worked out.
Cool. Can you walk me through a little bit, like, how do you actually operate this platform? I don't know, the different tools, whether it is WordPress and the plugins, are there other things that you use? Like, how does it all work?
Yeah, definitely. So it's very, I don't know if it's like the best way to go about it, but it's very like reactive. So
Okay.
like we started off the most basic setup, most basic features, just a very simple directory
Mm-hmm.
with like profiles and nonprofits.
Yeah.
And it's only when we like talk to schools or different companies now, when they tell us, hey, can this do this? Like, can we have this feature and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's when we just Google search, okay, like what's the best way to like incorporate that or add this new feature?
Mm-hmm.
And very often it's just as simple as adding like a new plugin. And so it's kind of like a Frankenstein to get a solution, but it's primarily driven by the customers and our conversations with them
Yeah.
that then tell us, okay, let's build this in, because so many of the features that we had, even customers will tell us themselves, hey, this is really important. Like
Yeah.
I want this before I'm gonna move forward with the contract.
Yeah.
And then even if we add it in, they're not even gonna use it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think there's so many like it's easy to get lost in overhead engineering, like putting too much into a product development. If it's not gonna be something that's really needed, like make sure it's really, really important before spending all the time to build that out.
I love that. I feel like I see that so much where there's like, someone will spend a ton of developer hours trying to build something super custom. And it's like, well, you could have tested this maybe like without building it from scratch.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. No, and we're also guilty of that. So it's a lesson learned the hard way sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, definitely very important.
Cool. Do you have any tips in terms of customer discovery, actually figuring out like who needs this, like why they might want this feature, or like those kinds of conversations? Like, how do you approach that?
There's no way of knowing until like you test it. And there you make so many assumptions
Hmm.
where you're like, for example, we thought, okay, like the companies that are going to be the most social impact driven, that are going to mention social impact on the websites the most, that's going to be our target audience.
Yeah.
When in reality, it was the companies that had some care about it, but it wasn't their primary focus. So
Okay.
it was more like we worked with like a semiconductor manufacturing company
Yeah.
that said, hey, we actually do nothing for social impact, but we want to get started. Can you help us set that up for you? And so it completely made us question our initial strategy and made us make a pivot and say, okay, maybe this is going to be the better audience for us.
Yeah.
But you're not going to know that without sending your first 5,000 or maybe even 10,000 emails to really test those percentages, because there's so much more to be learned, I think, by testing and just seeing what happens as opposed to just thinking about it.
Yeah. When you talk about like sending out those like thousands of emails, how do you manage that sort of thing? Like, are you crafting messages like per organization, or are you doing a bunch of cold emailing just to first like get something in before you start, I don't know, building up a relationship? Or yeah, how do you do all of that?
From my experience and how we went about it,
Yeah.
is like starting off very cold and then iterating over time to
Yeah.
get better based on the whether it's reply rates. So doing a lot of A/B testing. So understanding, just like testing it out. Obviously at the beginning, we got a lot more, like whether it was like unsubscribe rates or angry email responses, like why did you email me 3 times?
Yeah.
And I did feel bad about it at first, but we used those as like kind of guinea pigs to
Mhm.
understand, okay, what was working and what wasn't working.
Yeah.
And as tough as it might be, that's just how we were able to learn quickly, is by just testing that.
Yeah.
But you can always iterate later. And now I think we're at a much better place than we are. And maybe in a couple of years, it'll be even better. But yeah, definitely growing pains along the way.
Yep. I was talking to someone a few months ago who kind of had that sort of story, which kind of like, you know what, it feels a little awkward, those cold emails, but he was like, once we started like really increasing the volume and sort of not caring too much about people being angry about the amount of stuff they were receiving, it just helped them out so much. So yeah.
No, definitely. And there's a way to do also respectfully. Like if they ask you to take you off their list, like obviously you can easily comply with that. You can make it easy for them to unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So as long as you do it in a respectful way, I think it's naturally understood that it's part of the way to reach out and build new contacts.
Yeah, totally. I love the way you frame these things where it's like, you know, you have to do the thing. We understand like that we're all in this ecosystem trying to build stuff together. But as long as you do it respectfully, you think about like the person that you're reaching out to, and it should all work out.
No, definitely. And you'll always be on both sides of things. Like even myself, I'll get a bunch of emails, and before now I kind of understand more why they're doing it. And so it doesn't bother me as much. I'm like, okay, they're just trying to get the word out, like, sell their products. So yeah, I guess part of the business.
Yeah. So you've got like different stakeholders, right? Like you've got the nonprofits that you're trying to help, the companies who are participating. You used to do schools. Tell me about how you manage those different stakeholders and the transition between them. Like you went from schools to now companies. How did that all work? Sorry, I feel like that was a lot, but
No, yeah. I mean, the first transition, well, schools, the biggest mistake we made was we took what was working with schools,
yeah.
and then we tried to copy and paste that for companies.
Okay.
And that did not work very well at all, at least at the beginning. It was almost, we thought we had one product that was going to work with for two markets, but it ended up being over time as we iterated and like changed our page, changed the pricing and everything, like two completely separate models and even separate businesses. And I think with the schools, it's really more software based. What we ended up developing was a way for students to be able to log track their hours and sign up for volunteer opportunities. For the companies, what we saw the biggest gap is that a lot of them had either their own software or their own way of tracking those hours, but they needed the volunteer opportunities. And so that's when we work with nonprofits to co-create basically new volunteer opportunities that employees could do like at their office. Because we saw like both volunteer rates and donation rates have been falling, and that's largely also due to the pandemic. We're just not spending as much time outside as we used to, and even donor rates have been falling both in the US and Canada. So it's a new way that we've developed for employees at these companies to be really involved in the cause of the nonprofit, where they're going to be creating something of value that we can then donate to the nonprofit. That's going to be getting them really that excited feeling, the good feeling associated with giving back, which we try to create for as many people as possible.
Yeah. So actually, because I feel like we haven't really dug into this a whole lot. So what are the mechanics of like the experience that you provide? So you have boxes, if I understand correctly, and those go out and people do something and then it comes back ready for a nonprofit, something along those lines, right? So
yeah,
can you tell me, you can clean up that explanation to the extent that it needs to be, but also just how did you come up with the specifics of like how this works, and how do you manage it? Like how do you manage who needs what, how you package it, deliver it, like the operations of all of this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So when we started out, basically getting employees to say, hey, we want you guys to volunteer as a team, getting you out of the community. Well, the response we got from a lot of nonprofits were like actually getting a team of employees just for a half day, like once a month, isn't going to be that beneficial to our cause and to our mission, because it's just inefficient to have to train these employees, like find easy tasks that they can do without getting them involved on a longer term basis. Whereas companies, they really wanted to do just that half day of volunteering. So it was kind of an imbalance of what companies wanted and what would work for nonprofits. And so to try to balance that out, we work with nonprofits, say, hey, what are some things that could be useful that they could do basically. And a lot of them do accept and need in-kind donations of different things depending on different times throughout the year. So like, for example, Toys for Tots, they do a huge like toy collection around the holidays and are in need of like thousands of toys to be made. And so what companies can do is through our volunteer kits, that we send all the materials that they need to do the volunteer activity at their office at their own pace to then create those items of value. For example, can be Lego kits, or with back to school around the corner, we're like doing backpack stuffing activities that they like complete the items with their personal touch that they can send back to be donated to those nonprofits. And so it's really trying to balance, because we have a two-sided marketplace, finding something that's going to work for both sides. So it was kind of the idea behind it, but that was definitely no straight road to get there.
So how do you manage all of the stuff? I feel like whenever I think about businesses that have to handle like inventory of some kind, and I start thinking about like warehousing, whether that means like your apartment or an actual warehouse or like an office space, like how do you handle all of that?
No, yeah. So a lot of it is just like in my room right now. If I show you like us here, got like boxes everywhere. That's like a small pet habitat that we have to show off. So I bought like a bunch of boxes here to do all the shipping that I'm hoping is a temporary solution. But I realized like a lot of it you have to like do yourself and just to learn how to do it. And so Alex also has a bunch of boxes at his place. But obviously the dream is going to be one day to like work with a shipping partner, like have our own warehouse. But as long as the demand isn't there, we're also learning how to do it right by doing it ourselves before we can offload it and have like other people support us with that process. So it does give us a lot more control in the meantime. So if you can do it yourself before working with someone else, I would definitely advise going that route.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Does that all tie in with like, so you get someone comes into the platform, they pay directly on the website, and then you have like a system where you like see, okay, like this is what's come in, like we got to pack up these boxes and you ship it out? Is that basically the flow?
Yeah, exactly. So they just place an order, and now it's directly through our website with our new website we recently launched to make the logistics easier with Shopify. It's basically just an e-commerce store. And so those are for the on-site like volunteering activities that we ship out. We also have a full database of volunteer opportunities you can do directly with the nonprofit.
Cool.
For the ones that do accept employees. So there are a lot of different options based on what you're looking for, because whether you're volunteering with one of our kids or directly with a nonprofit, really the goal is to get as many people giving back to the community as possible.
Super cool. Nice. I'm kind of curious then, like what are your next steps looking like? What's coming up?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know we've been like very focused like in the short term. And so I haven't done, I don't know if it's the right way to do it, but like the medium to long term planning, we like really spent a lot of time and say, okay, let's try to make this like work as best as possible.
Yeah.
And see like how many of the volunteer kids can we send out to community. As far as that, I mean, we have a lot of like lofty ideals. I think the number one thing that would be really cool to do would be to, once we have like different clients set up, to create more long-term partnerships between nonprofits and companies. So once employees like get a positive feeling of, okay, that was really fun to give back for a half day, what can we do that's going to be more impactful, as opposed to maybe just like creating and donating like 12 Lego sets? What if we volunteered once a week over the course of a month to create a new home, or to do clothing drives, to donate a lot of clothes? Like there are so many more opportunities to create a deeper impact if we're able to strengthen the connection with nonprofits and companies. I think that would be the long-term vision once we're able to, I guess, get our feet off the ground.
That's super cool. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way, but it is like, It's almost like what you're providing is like dipping your toe into the water and then sort of getting comfortable. And then there's this opportunity after that to really dig in. So yeah, that's
Right.
awesome.
Like for now, it's just try to make it as easy as possible so anyone can get involved.
Yeah.
But ideally, we'd be like more advancing the impact as we go on, and we can build that trust.
Super cool. Yeah, and I guess we are on the Small Tech podcast. So I am curious, what is the small tech product that you'd like to plug? Who do you want to shout out for this episode?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to shout out BuddyBoss, the plugin that we basically use to set up our like school volunteering software that really helped us go from 0 features to 100, because they just have so many different ways you can create an online community. It can be for any idea really that you're looking for to get like users onto a platform. So I would highly recommend you checking them out. They're also a fellow Canadian company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So highly recommend if you're looking to start out with a SaaS product with different users.
Super cool. Awesome. Thanks, Mateo.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
And yeah, this is a great chat. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I hope to see Keen to Help grow massively and start or keep helping people volunteer and get those people volunteering once a week instead of just dipping their toes in the water. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that and the opportunity to be here and like a little bit more about us. So no, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks. See ya.
Take care.
Folks, that was my conversation with Mateo Jeanneau of Keen to Help. I had a blast chatting with him, and I learned so much. It's always inspiring to see how people are using technology to make a real difference in the world. If you work with a nonprofit or a company that could use their product, their platform, you should definitely reach out. We'll put some links in the show notes, but if you want to check them out right away, it's keen2help.com. That's all words, KEENTOHELP.com. If you're enjoying the podcast and haven't subscribed yet, you can find us at smalltechpodcast.com. Subscribe in your podcast app of choice, and don't forget to check us out on YouTube and hit the subscribe button there as well. If you like the work that we're doing, we would really appreciate a rating, review, etc. on whatever platform you use to listen to us. Give us some feedback. We'd really appreciate it. And if you're building a small tech product that is having a positive impact on the world, I'd love to talk to you as well. It's always fun to see what people are building out there. In the meantime, we all want to do something good in the world, so go out there and build something good, folks. I'll see you in the next one.